Tomorrow I'm going to assign the Outsiders Lit Term project that has you focus on some of the key lit terms for this book, and they're ones that we have talked about and defined in your glossary already. You'll see that it is not due tomorrow. It is due December 21st, so that is Monday. So I'm assigning it on the 16th. You'll have some time after the test on Thursday to work on it. We're watching the movie on Friday. You'll have the weekend, and then you'll have our virtual day on Monday. All of our virtual day on Monday, you'll be able to work on it. And it is due at midnight that night. So here's what the project looks like. It's a slideshow. On the very first slide, you're going to follow the directions. You're going to delete this text here and put your name here. So wipe this out and put your name. Delete this text box down here and paste an image representing one of the symbols from the Outsiders here. So you're going to choose one of the symbols that you talked about. It can be one of the ones on that symbols worksheet if you want to. And you can put a picture of it here. But it has to be a symbol. Don't just put like a picture of the Outsiders kids. And then each slide is dedicated to a particular literary term. At the top, you'll delete the text and you'll write the definition of the term. And that can be directly from your glossary if you'd like to. If you use one from Google, make sure that you actually understand it. So don't just copy paste something that you aren't familiar with. I recommend that you use the ones in our glossary because those are written for you. Those ones can be word for word. Then each slide has kind of different things for you to do. So on this slide, you will find a quote that includes an allusion, and you'll delete this text here, paste a quote from the Outsiders, and then give me the page number. Over here, tell me what text the quote is alluding to. So like if it's an allusion to a book or a movie or a poem or a song or whatever, put that here. And then explain why the author chose the text. So kind of what does this text have to do with the Outsiders as a whole? So how does it relate? Imagery, again, here's the definition. Here you will tell me find something that S.E. Hinton uses a lot of imagery to describe and tell me what it is that she describes that way. You'll find a quote that includes imagery over here, and you'll click and drag circles around the senses that she's using in your quote. So these are click and draggable, so you'll move them around whatever it is that she is using in her imagery. And don't forget a page number. Style. S.E. Hinton's writing style is unique because of her word choice. How's her word choice unique? So tell me in your own words how she uses unique words in the novel. And then find a quote that shows that unique style and give me the page number. Tell me what a protagonist is. Tell me what an antagonist is. Identify the protagonist. Identify the antagonist. And then tell me how you know. For setting, you'll tell me what the setting is, and then I've given you the setting because the book never directly comes out and says it. But what are at least 2 hints to tell you that the story is set in the Southwest? So like in this part of the country. And what are 2 hints that tell you that the story is set in the 1960s? For foreshadowing, give me the definition. Find a quote from the Outsiders that contains foreshadowing, and then tell me what happened later. This part doesn't have to be a quote. You can just describe it. So, like, here was the foreshadowing, and then later in the story, this happened. And tell me what chapter this event came from. And the plot pyramid part, I've laid out a little plot pyramid here for you. And I have on this, you don't have to do anything on the slide. It's just here for your reference. So this is not an activity slide. But these ones are. So for the exposition, here's what the exposition is. What's the main external conflict of the story? So it should be like a main character versus some other force. What event at the beginning of the novel introduces you to all of the main characters? Because that's what exposition is. So think back to the very beginning of the story. What happens where you get to meet all of the characters one by one and they all get described and you get to learn about the conflict all at the same time. For inciting incident, remember it's kind of like the call to adventure. So we want to think about everything could have gone on forever the way it was in the exposition until what happened. So what was the thing that kind of changed everything for our characters? And then what did it change? So what event did this inciting incident cause to happen later? So it kind of should like set the ball rolling, where they make a decision that's different from their usual life, or they do something that is unusual that kind of sets the rest of the story in motion. Arising action. After the inciting incident, what are 2 additional problems or complications that the characters faced before the climax? Make sure that you aren't giving me something from the end of the book. So this should be all before the climax. You should delete this text and write one here and one here. The climax of the story, I have given it to you because the internet is all over the place on what the climax is. So I've given you what I think it is. And I think the climax of the story is the rumble. So like on this one, your complications need to be from before the rumble. Why is this the climax is kind of what this is asking. So who wins? Who wins the main conflict? Delete this text and this should be and tell me who wins. Sorry. And the falling action, this should be after the rumble. So 2 major events happen right after the rumble. What are they? Tell me what those are. Ponyboy struggles after these events. Tell me 2 unusual things he does during the falling action. The show he is struggling. 2 unusual things he does. Finally, the resolution. So Ponyboy's really struggling with the deaths of Johnny and Dally. What helps him heal from this struggle? Tell me here. And Ponyboy says this quote, what does he decide to do during the resolution of this book? And tell me how the whole book ends. And this is going to be like the last paragraph of the novel. So you'll fill all of this out, click and fill in each of these gray boxes. There are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 slides that you need to do something on. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4 school days to work on it. 6 days to work on it. So if you did 2 a day, you would be good to go. You could maybe start the first few on the 16th and continue your work on the 21st. But this whole day is for you to work on the project. So you decide how you're going to space out your time, but the whole thing is due on Monday, the 21st at midnight.